Hi, I'm Beth from Sew Country, and today's tutorial is from a new designer called Cork and Copper Designs. Today I will be sewing up the Pennyroyal pouch. This pouch is the first official pattern from Cork and Copper Designs. It comes in 4 different sizes, and as you can see, I sewed 2 up with Minky, and today in this video I'm going to be using a waxed canvas to sew up the last one. This is the small, medium, large, and today I'm sewing up the extra large. I thought it would be fun to use a waxed canvas because I've sewn several pouch patterns on this channel, so by using a different substrate I can still give you a unique look at how to sew a pouch with different materials. This pouch does have box corners. It does have a zipper tab on one side, and you can see it opens up wide. So now that we've talked about the pouch, let's go ahead and look at the pieces we're going to be using to sew up this pouch today. We are going to need a number 5 zipper. The pattern tells you how long to cut your zipper. We'll need one number 5 zipper pull. I'm going to use one zipper tab. The pattern gives you options for either using a raw edge material or a cotton woven material. For this pattern, your outer panel pieces, which will be my wax canvas, is a separate pattern piece than your lining. If you are going to be sewing up the extra large, you would need to print out 2 pattern pieces, one for exterior, one for lining. For my lining, I'm using a waterproof canvas, and this is a thinner weight waterproof canvas. I'm choosing to use a thinner one because with this wax canvas, I didn't want any extra bulk. So let's just talk a little bit about the wax canvas. Here is my waterproof canvas. See how floppy and soft it is? But look at this wax canvas when I hold it up. It is so stiff and thick. I'm not using any other interfacing or stabilizer because this is enough. You can see I have a big crease down mine. That was just from where it was folded when it was shipped to me. If you don't like this line on here, you can get rid of it. You can get your iron and just put it on a very low heat and warm up your ironing board or mat, and then place this on that warm ironing mat or board. You do not want to try to iron this at first. If you do that method and that crease still doesn't go away to your satisfaction, you can even try to lightly place a warm iron on here, but you're going to be very careful. Wax canvas is literally just a cotton canvas that has been waxed. You can even wax your own material at home if you want. There are plenty of tutorials for doing this if you want to try that out. I have tried it before and felt like it was just a little bit more work than I wanted. I choose now to just buy mine from an Etsy shop, and that's how I do get my wax canvas. But you can make it if you want to take that adventure into your materials. The things to know about wax canvas is that even though I can see that line, by the end, if you look at this one, it had the same line and you can see it faintly, but look at all the other creases that kind of mask it and distress it, and that's what will happen with this one. It looks great right now, but whenever I turn the bag right side out, this unique distressed look will happen. If it was still bothering me, that crease, I could even crease more around it and even mark with my finger even more and be more hidden. I love the look of wax canvas because it's stable, it's sturdy, and it just looks so rustic. It's just a really cool substrate to work with. So this is all the materials we need to sew up this pouch. 2 exterior, 2 lining, zipper tab, zipper tape, zipper pull. The first thing I'm going to do to get started is I'm going to put my zipper pull onto my zipper tape, and then I'm going to attach the zipper end on one end of it. I want to attach the zipper end on the side where the zipper is going to be, you would pull to open. So for me, that is going to be my right side. Since I'm just using this piece of wax canvas, or if you choose to use a piece of raw edge material, you just simply fold it in half and then slip it open and put your zipper tape in there And then I will just top stitch across the top 1/8 of an inch. I'll trim up the edges on the end, but that's all I need to do for the zipper at this point. So now that I have the zipper tape prepped, the next thing I need to do is on my exterior pattern piece, there are 2 marks at the top. These 2 marks are where the zipper will be on this exterior. We want to make sure that we keep that zipper out of the seam allowances here on the corner so that we have a nice pretty top edge to the zipper pouch. Most of the time with pouches we want to keep the zippers out of the seam allowance. As you clip your zipper tape all the way across here, and I'm going to show you how I do it, and I'm going to actually tell you both ways that you can attach this zipper so you can kind of see which one works best for you. So for the method that is used in this pattern, what we do is we clip the zipper tape in between those 2 marks the pattern has. What we would do then is we would separate the teeth and we would pull it up, that zipper, and this is the way we would make that 90-degree angle. We would make sure that 90 degrees starts right there inside that mark we just gave, right at the mark. So our teeth should be right at that mark. So for me personally, and the pattern tells you, if you don't like doing that method like that, you can even measure in between these 2 places. Like right here, I have this zipper tape on here. I can make a little, like I can go ahead and put that clip right there and take this off. And then make that perfect fold that you guys know I like to do, the 90-degree fold right here, so that I can still keep that zipper tape within that seam allowance, within those markings given at the pattern, but I have that really pretty fold that I like. And so this is my preferred way to do it. It's just whichever one works for you. A pattern is meant to be a guide and a help, but if you're like, hey, I like this other method better, the pattern designer will not be offended if you decide you need to do it the other way to be better for you. So since I've got that one fold there, I'm just going to go ahead and make this match it. And so I know I have the right size zipper and folded the way I want. And also the pattern tells you how they just sew with it on there. But this is the way I'll do mine. You can see I have them perfectly matched. I have them trimmed up. I'm going to go ahead and just sew this on my sewing machine just to get kind of lock those folds in place so I don't have to worry about them shifting while I'm attaching it to my bag. So now that I have my zipper ends finished fine, I'm going to take that zipper, I'm going to place it right sides together with my exterior. With wax canvas, there's no right or wrong side. They're both going to look exactly the same. So you just pick which one you want to use or just grab it however it falls. But what I want to do is I want to take my zipper and I'm going to start clipping it along the in between those marks that I made and just curve it around this edge. Whenever I do it this way, I am going to start with a basting stitch. When you have a curve like this one on a pouch, if I just went ahead and made a zipper sandwich with the lining, I would have a tendency to lose the zipper edge. It would be slipping. So I don't want to risk that. So I will go ahead and sew this zipper down with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance as my first step. I'm also going to look and make for sure that I have an even amount of spacing on both sides so that everything is looking really good and neat. You can even pull out your pattern piece again and check it again to make for sure that your zipper is in between those 2 marks. So we will just sew 1/8 of an inch across. I have my zipper basted right sides together with the exterior with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Most of the time at this step with a pouch, we would go ahead and take our lining and put it right sides down to make a zipper sandwich and sew it across. This pattern does not have us do that. I'm going to do it exactly the way the pattern says so you can see that demonstrated in case you haven't seen this technique before. Grab my exterior piece. We will call this my right side. And what I'll do is I'll put this right side against the right side of my other exterior. We're going to kind of keep in line everything so our sides will match up. But what we'll do is we'll clip the exterior right sides together with the tape. So you can see it's just going to look like this. Make sure you have your marks on your other exterior so you make sure everything matches up perfectly. We're going to clip this all along that top exterior edge, right side zipper tape, right side exterior. So this is what we have at this point. We're going to look and make sure everything looks even. It does. Everything's matched up between those marks. I'm good to go. I once again am going to just baste 1/8 of an inch away, and then I will have both of my exteriors attached to my zipper. So this is what we have at this point. This is my zipper tape. We're looking at the wrong side. This is the wrong sides of my exterior. Here's the right sides of my exterior. Now what we want to do is we want to attach the lining. I'm going to pick up one of my lining pieces. And this is the right side of my lining. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the right side of my lining and attach it to the wrong side of my zipper tape. In a sense, the right side of your lining will be right sides together with your exterior. This is the point when you're making that traditional zipper sandwich that we're used to doing with a pattern for a pouch. I'm going to clip all along this top edge to connect these two pieces. The pattern does give a tip that it's a good idea to baste the interior with a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, then come back and do the full seam allowance. I did not find that necessary, but they said that you get a better curve if you do that. If you need to do that, if you're a little nervous or if you're new to sewing, definitely do that. But I'm just going to sew my interior and exterior together with the full seam allowance given the pattern to completely attach these two pieces together. I will sew from end to end, not just along the zipper tabs. I'm going to sew the full length of the two pattern pieces. Okay, so now I've got this lining attached. I'm going to kind of flip it out of the way. You could go ahead and top stitch if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm going to open that up just so I can get in there a little bit better. And so now you can see we have one exterior lining completely attached. I'm going to pull out my other lining piece, and again, right sides will go to the wrong side of the zipper, but the right side of your exterior, making that zipper sandwich one more time. We're going to line up those edges and sides, and again sew across, or at least I'm going to sew across with the full seam allowance, but you could do a basting stitch if you're worried about that curve on the top. So now that we have all four pieces attached, we only have a couple steps left to finish up the pouch. What we'll do now is we're going to flip everything open so that we can top stitch. So what you'll do is you will come to the exterior right side. I'm going to keep the zipper open, and I'm just going to make sure I push the seam down and pull the zipper up so that I can get a really nice finish on the top of this pouch. Okay, so this is what I have. The pattern tells us that we are not going to top stitch from side to side. We're only going to, and the pattern tells you the exact measurement that you come in to top stitch. And basically, I'm going to top stitch pretty close from zipper to along the zipper edges. So look at the pattern, get that measurement, and then just top stitch between those two amounts, but it will not be from end to end. This is typical on most pouches because whenever we top stitch from end to end, whenever we turn it, we tend to have a little bit more like issues on the sides. So keep that in mind. For most pouches, it's best to not top stitch end to end. When I top stitch, I just do it 1/8 of an inch away from that folded edge. The pattern does tell you could choose to do 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, whatever is your preference, or even what your sewing machine can do. If you don't have a zipper foot, you may need to get a little bit further away. But I will do 1/8 of an inch and use those measurements given the pattern, and that's where I'll stop and where I'll end my top stitching. I'll do that on both sides of the zipper. So now I have top stitch along the tops of both of my exteriors, and you can see it did go through to my lining, so that is both completed. I'm going to zip this up about halfway. I don't like to keep my zipper all the way open because I'm always afraid I'll catch like the zipper pull, especially where this is a bigger one when I'm sewing down the side. So I'm going to keep mine there, and I can open it up the rest of the way later if I need to when turning. I'm going to do what we typically do with a pouch. We're going to put the exteriors together, right sides together, the linings right sides together. I'm going to match up the sides and the bottom, and I'm going to clip all the way around. So now I have the sides and the bottoms clipped on both my exterior and my lining. What I want to do now is on my exterior, I'm going to sew both of the sides and the bottom. I'm not sewing out these cutout corners because we're going to box those later. On the lining, I'm going to sew both of the sides, but I'm going to leave a turning gap in the middle of the lining for us to birth the bag through. Again, I will not sew the cutout sides. The pattern tells us, and this is a great idea, what we're going to do is we're going to start and feed the materials through the machine this way, sewing from the bottom towards the top. We will sew right up into the lining, but we will not go over the lining. It's okay if you sew over the seam of the lining, but we're not sewing down the lining. Those are two separate stitches. So what I like to do is I like to get right up to that line of sewing. You can see that line of stitches I have right here, back stitch here, and then break my stitches. I will do that on both sides here. Then I will flip it around, and then I will sew the lining sides the same way. Start at the bottom, go towards the top, but making sure that I do not come over to that exterior at all. You will go right up to that previous row of stitches you just did whenever you did your top stitching and attaching the zipper. For the bottom, of course, we don't have to worry about that. We just make sure we lock in our stitches on both sides. But from the sides, we're not just sewing and going all the way down. It's two separate sets of stitches on the sides on each side. Use the seam allowance given in the pattern. You can see that is where my stitches end right there. Repeat that on all the other sides, and don't forget to sew the bottoms. So now that we have the sides and the bottom sewn up, what we'll do is we'll box the corners like we typically do in a pouch. If you've watched my other videos, you know I like to go in from the inside. That way I can get a better fit on the boxing. So like my corners and everything match up smooth. When I try to just pull right here, I usually don't get that perfect corner. So I put my hand on the inside and I pull from the inside. And you can see when I do that, then I'm able to get a more straight fit on there. So this is what we're looking for. We're matching up the two seams. The two seams are pretty much going to be right on top of each other. Since this is wax canvas and it's a little heavy, I'm going to nest the seams. I'm starting to like to nest seams more than butterfly. And butterfly means you would spread them open. Nesting means you just have one going one side, the other going the other. And I kind of like that a little bit better these days. I really don't need, where wax canvas is stiff, it kind of holds its way, but I'm going to go ahead and put some clips in there anyway. What I'll do is I'll just sew straight across this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. I'm going to do this method on all four sides, lining and exterior, and then just sew them all together. So I boxed all the corners and I trimmed down those seams. You can see already I'm getting some distress marks on my wax canvas, which is what I want. It feels really stiff right now, but the more I crumple it, the more I move it, and whenever I turn it, it's going to get soft and just be easier to manipulate. But when you first start to turn it, I don't like it here. It is so hard. It is so stiff. So if your hands are struggling and you can't do this, go ahead and start crumpling it up now. And then you will see you'll start getting it more malleable and getting it looking just like a lot cooler of a look. So I'm going to work on turning this through this opening. It will take me a little while where my canvas is a little stiff, but you can definitely get it to manipulate once you start moving it around. Okay, I finished the extra large version of the Pennyroyal pouch. Now I still need to close up the opening in the bottom, and I will do that off camera to save you guys from watching it, but you'll just pull it out and fold the edges together. The raw ends are tucked in. But let's look at the sizes of all of these so we can kind of get a good idea of how everything looks. So this is the extra large we just sewed. Extra large to the large to the medium to the small. So you can see the sizes aren't great in, like, it's not huge differences in sizes, but each one has a little bit shorter of a top and a little bit, let's see, the width is almost the same, I want to say. So I think really it's just a little bit of the height there. And probably what's going to happen with most of us is that we would pick the size we like the best and kind of go with it. But for a set, I think this is so cute. I'm actually thinking about giving this to my daughter and her boyfriend, so you kind of have like a little bit more of a masculine one and a little more girly one. And I think it'd just be beautiful sitting on their bathroom counters like this. The pattern comes together super quick. It's great for gifts, and since you have 4 sizes, you can make a really cool gift set for someone. So definitely consider trying out this pattern from this new designer. And even if you don't necessarily need a new pattern or aren't interested in this one, consider joining her Facebook group to help support her on her journey. She will be doing many more patterns, and I'm already excited to see those patterns and can't wait for her to come out with those. So I will have a link for the pattern and her Facebook group listed in my description. If you have any questions on working with Minky or with waxed canvas, let me know. Definitely. It's fun to try new things in the sewing room and get new, like with a basic pouch, you can really change the way it looks just with choosing some of the materials you use. Thank you guys for watching another sewing tutorial of mine, and I really appreciate all the positive comments I've been getting lately. And I hope you guys have a good day sewing today, and I hope I see some of your creations on social media. Feel free to tag me or post them in my Facebook group. And thanks so much, and I hope to see you guys again soon.